Only 1% chosen ones radiate both angelic and demonic frequencies, do you? There is a secret vibration that only a few human beings ever discover within themselves. It's not a skill. It's not a belief. It's not something you read about or study. It's something you awaken to, an ancient, buried frequency that resounds across two extremes of human potential. You see, most people walk through life trying to become better, purer, more holy, more light-filled. Others fall into darkness, chaos, rebellion, and shadow. But what if I told you that the real chosen ones, the 1% who are here to shift the vibration of the earth, are not just beings of light? They are also deeply connected to the dark. That they radiate both frequencies, angelic and demonic, and in doing so, they become something far beyond either. You might feel a strange resonance in your chest right now, or even a discomfort. That's because your soul knows this truth, even if your mind resists it. We've been taught to fear the dark, and to run from it, and to label it evil. But the demonic isn't about evil. It's about power, raw, untamed, primal energy, the kind that breaks chains and shatters illusions. And the angelic isn't about being passive or perfect. It's about alignment, higher truth, and divine order. When both these forces coexist within you, something extraordinary happens. But you stop being human. You become mythic. I've seen it. I've lived it. I've meditated in freezing caves on Himalayan cliffs, where the silence is so loud it shreds your identity. I've walked through burning deserts with shamans who spoke to spirits of fire. I've looked into the eyes of death and found a gentle smile waiting there. And every time I've returned with one truth: the chosen ones are not who you think they are. They're not saints. They're not saviors. They're the ones who dared to look into the abyss and the heavens and chose to embody both.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Have you ever felt like you didn't belong anywhere? Like you were too intense for the light and too conscious for the dark? That's because you're not meant to belong. You're meant to bridge. Many people live trying to fit in. They suppress their rage, their desire, their wild side because they think it makes them unworthy. Others become consumed by it, lost in chaos, abandoning their light. But the 1%, the real alchemists, they don't choose sides. They integrate. They recognize that the light gives form, but the dark gives depth. That an angel without a shadow is incomplete. That a demon without self-awareness is self-destructive. But when you merge those energies inside you, you become unstoppable. Think about it. What if your anger wasn't something to suppress, but a sacred fire calling you to act? What if your sadness wasn't weakness, but a doorway to deeper compassion? What if your ambition, your lust, your madness were not flaws, but frequencies waiting to be refined? And on the other side, what if your peace wasn't passivity, but divine clarity? What if your love wasn't just soft, but fierce? What if your forgiveness was not forgetting, but setting yourself free? This is not philosophy. This is energetic reality. Your body, your emotions, your thoughts, they are channels. You are a temple of both the divine and the primal. The chosen ones are not chosen by religion or morality. They are chosen by vibration. They feel more. They break more. They rise more. They are the ones who have walked through hell and remembered heaven. They don't seek approval, they seek truth. And truth is never one-sided. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly faced your own darkness, not to fight it, but to listen? And to sit with it like an old friend and ask, "What are you trying to show me?" Most people run from their shadows. But the chosen ones, they dance with them. They learn the language of the night, the symbols of the subconscious, the voice of the wound. And in that dance they find their power. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be whole. And wholeness includes contradiction and paradox, duality. That's where the real magic lives. I've seen people unlock supernatural abilities, intuition, healing, manifestation, synchronicity, not by meditating longer, but by integrating their denied parts. The moment they stopped judging their inner fire, it became fuel. The moment they embraced their pain, it became purpose. The moment they stopped pretending to be only light, they became limitless. This is the forgotten path, the sacred rebellion, and the divine integration. But be warned, it's not for the faint of heart. Because to walk this path, you will be misunderstood. People will call you too intense, too emotional, too complex. They will try to put you in a box, either angel or demon, saint or sinner, healer or destroyer. But you'll know, deep down you'll know, I am both, and I am neither. I am beyond. So here's a question that might change your life. Are you willing to stop choosing between light and dark and start becoming the bridge that unites them? Because once you do, your life will never be the same. You'll start to feel energies before they enter a room. You'll speak, and people will feel your words in their bones. You'll walk into chaos and bring order, or walk into order and awaken truth. You'll stop following rules and start living by resonance. And here's the wildest part, your mere presence will start to activate others. Not because you preach, but because you embody. You'll become a mirror that reflects both their divinity and their distortion. Some will love you, some will hate you, but all will be moved by you. And isn't that what you're here for? This is not just spiritual talk. This is a call to embodiment, and the call to rise as the 1% who are not afraid of the full spectrum of being, who don't just meditate in silence, but roar in truth, who don't just ascend but descend consciously into the parts of themselves others fear to face. Because only when you've faced every part of yourself can you guide others to do the same. So I ask again, do you radiate both angelic and demonic frequencies? And if not, are you ready to start? The sacred alchemy, turning shadow into power, light into force. There comes a moment in every soul's journey where the masks begin to fall, one by one. The mask of being nice, the mask of being spiritual, the mask of being strong, enlightened, put together. And when those masks dissolve, what's left is raw, achingly raw. A chaos and clarity all at once. And it is here, in this sacred nakedness, that the alchemy begins. You see, you were never meant to become something else. You were meant to remember what you already are, a cosmic paradox, a divine force housed in fragile flesh, a storm with a heartbeat. And the chosen ones, the 1%, they are the ones who finally stop running from the mess and learn how to use it. Shadow is not your enemy, it is your teacher. It is the part of you that remembers everything you've tried to forget, your betrayals, your lusts, your jealousies, your fears, but also your wildness, your courage, your ability to destroy illusions. When you repress your shadow, you become fragmented. You become like a house with locked rooms full of whispers and ghosts. But when you open those doors, when you walk into the darkness willingly, something wild happens. You begin to reclaim power. Not the fake power of ego or control, but the kind of power that radiates silently, the kind that doesn't need to be seen because it is. And the light. The light is not just about love and light and floating away on clouds. Real light is piercing. It sees through all lies, even the ones you tell yourself. It's not always gentle. Sometimes it burns, sometimes it exposes, but it always liberates. And when you wield that light, not from a place of superiority, but from the depths of your own integration, it becomes a force. Not just illumination, but direction. You stop drifting. You start moving with clarity, with fire in your purpose. This is the sacred alchemy. It's not about choosing shadow or light. It's about turning both into power. It's about transforming pain into prophecy, rage into revelation, longing into leadership. And it's not done in a temple or a retreat center. It's done in the middle of your life, in the heartbreak, in the anxiety, in the moments where you want to run, but instead you stay. You breathe, you listen, and you ask the question that changes everything. What is this trying to teach me? Every wound is an invitation. Every trigger is a treasure map. Every shadow is a seed of potential if you're willing to go deep enough. But here's the secret most never realize. The descent is the ascent. The deeper you go into your own underworld, the higher you rise into your light. That's why the chosen ones often come from brokenness. That's why their stories are full of loss, betrayal, chaos, because they were never meant to live a normal life. They were meant to alchemize it. But here's the truth. This path isn't glamorous. It's not always beautiful. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes it breaks you open in ways you didn't think you could survive. But if you stay with it, if you let the fire refine you instead of destroy you, you become untouchable. Not because you're invincible, but because you're whole. Nothing outside you can hold power over you when you've integrated what's inside. So, let me ask you something deep, maybe the deepest yet. What part of you have you labeled as bad or unspiritual? And what if that part is holding the exact power you've been praying for? Because when you stop trying to fix yourself and start listening to yourself, you become the alchemist. You stop seeking gurus and realize the guru is your grief, your anger, your lust, your loneliness. All of it has wisdom. All of it has gold. You just have to be brave enough to dig. And when you do, when you finally realize that your scars are sacred, that your darkness is divine, that your light is a sword, you will feel something shift in your body, in your energy, in your very presence. People will feel it. They won't know what it is, but they'll be drawn to you. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real. Because you've walked through fire and didn't lose your soul. Because your light is not naive, it's forged in the underworld. And that is the power of the chosen. The frequency of the initiated, how to walk through the world as both flame and mirror. Once you begin to radiate both the angelic and demonic frequencies, You no longer move through the world the way others do. Something shifts not just in your behavior, but in your field, your very frequency. You become a living paradox, a flame that warms but also burns, a mirror that reflects both beauty and distortion. And that shift, it's not subtle. The world can feel it. People around you sense something ancient in your eyes, something both terrifying and magnetic. But you become an initiator not through words, but through your presence. You walk into a room and suddenly others are confronted with themselves. Not because you're judging them, but because you've become so whole, their fragmentation becomes visible in comparison. This is what it means to walk as an initiated being. Not someone who read a book or took a course, but someone who died and came back. You died to your illusions. You died to your persona. You died to the version of you that was performing for love, for safety, for approval. And in that death you were reborn not as someone new, but as someone true. This isn't a costume or a spiritual aesthetic. It's not about crystals or mantras or how high vibe your Instagram feed looks. This is about embodiment. When you radiate both frequencies, you become dangerous not in a violent way, but in a disruptive one. You awaken people, you activate them, you challenge their comfort, and in doing so, you liberate them. But understand this, to walk the world as both flame and mirror is to embrace solitude, not loneliness solitude, because few will understand you. Many will project onto you. They will call you too much, too intense, too emotional, too mysterious. Some will accuse you of being fake. Others will worship you. Neither matters. Because when you walk this path, your validation comes from the inside. You don't need praise, and you're not afraid of hate. You've already faced your worst demons. You've already sat with your darkest truths. So there's nothing left for the world to threaten you with. And yet something beautiful happens. The more true you become, the more the right people start to find you. And other initiates, other mirrors, other flames. You begin to attract those who are ready to remember. They won't need you to explain, they'll feel it. Your silence will speak to them. Your presence will remind them of their own power. You become a permission slip for those around you to be real, to stop pretending, and to stop fragmenting, to stop choosing between light and dark and start claiming all of it. But to sustain this frequency, you must stay vigilant. The world will try to pull you back into polarity. It will try to make you pick a side. It will tempt you to soften your edge or suppress your fire. It will offer you comfort in exchange for conformity. And you must say no, again and again, not out of rebellion, but out of devotion. Devotion to truth, to freedom, to the soul. Here's the paradox. The more whole you become, the less you belong to the world. And yet, the more you can serve it. Because now, you're no longer trying to fix people. You're not trying to save them. You're not trying to be anyone's guru or god. You simply exist authentically, fully, and that existence becomes medicine. Your life becomes a transmission. Your choices become codes. Your energy becomes a doorway. So let me ask you something you may not be ready to hear. What if your pain, your trauma, your shadow was never a mistake? What if it was part of your initiation? What if every betrayal, every loss, every breakdown was not punishment, but preparation to make you the kind of vessel that could hold both the angel and the demon, and not collapse? Because let's be honest, most people can't hold that. They get consumed by one or the other. They become too pure, too holy, too afraid to touch the fire. Or they fall into chaos, seduced by power with no purpose. But you're being asked to hold both, to become the bridge, the storm, the stillness, the flame, the mirror. And once you do, you become unshakable. Not because you have control, but because you've surrendered to your essence. You've stopped seeking outside and started embodying inside. You are no longer here to be liked. You are here to ignite. The final gate, why only the rare few complete the transformation. There is a final gate. After the integration of light and shadow, after the sacred alchemy, after walking through the world as flame and mirror, but there's still one test left, one threshold that separates the rare few who complete the transformation from those who almost made it. And this gate doesn't look like anything mystical. It doesn't announce itself with lightning or visions. It arrives quietly, almost invisibly. It shows up in the moments when no one is watching, in the silence after the breakthrough, in the stillness after the storm. The final gate is not about power. It's about humility. It's about surrendering everything you thought your transformation earned you and realizing you were never doing it for yourself. You see, a lot of people awaken just enough to feel powerful. They taste the fire. They feel the energy rise. They start to see the world differently. But then ego sneaks in disguised as wisdom. They begin to believe they are better, more advanced, chosen in a way others are not. And just like that, they fall into a new illusion, one even more seductive than ignorance: spiritual superiority. This is the trap. The final trap, and most don't see it until it's too late. But the rare ones, the real initiates, they recognize it. And they do something radical. They let go. They let go of the identity of being awakened. They let go of trying to be seen as powerful. They stop needing to be the flame, or the mirror, or the one who always knows. They become empty, not in a hollow way, but in a sacred way. Like a cup that has been poured out so it can be filled again, they become vessels, instruments, not for their own glory, but for something much greater, something nameless, timeless, and beyond comprehension. This is the paradox. The more awakened you become, the more invisible you're willing to be. You no longer need to prove anything. You don't need to be right. You don't need to be followed. You don't need to be worshipped. You just are. Fully human, wildly divine, completely free. And that freedom, that's what makes you dangerous in the best possible way. Because now you're not acting from your wounds or your ego, you're acting from truth and from alignment. From a love so fierce it doesn't coddle, but liberates. This is why only the rare few complete the transformation. Because it requires losing everything you thought you were, even the enlightened version of you. It requires letting go of the story of your pain, your power, your path. It asks you to become nothing, so you can finally become everything. And that level of surrender, it terrifies most people. Because it means stepping into a life that is not about you anymore. It's about the whole, the collective, the field. But those who walk through this final gate, they become legends. Not in the way the world defines it, but in the way the soul does. Their name may never be known, but their frequency ripples across generations. They become the ones whose presence changes timelines, whose words unlock codes in others, whose eyes remind you of something ancient you forgot. They don't need a throne. They are the throne. They don't need a following. Their life is the teaching. So now, I ask you the last and deepest question. Are you willing to let go of even your transformation, your identity, your awakening to become nothing but truth? Because if you are one of the rare ones. You are not just a seeker. You are a completer, a cycle breaker, a frequency holder. You are not here to be worshipped or feared. You are here to embody the full spectrum of human and divine, seen and unseen, light and dark, beginning and end. You are the 1%. And we need you. Right now. The world is starving for those who have walked through the fire and emerged, not as gods, but as servants of the real, not as masters of illusion, but as carriers of essence, not as chosen by fate, but as those who chose themselves, again and again, through every shadow, every temptation, every death and every rebirth. You are the edge where the angel sings and the demon roars. You are the silence that speaks and the fire that heals. You are the final gate, and you have walked through. Now go. Be. Live it. Speak it. Be it. And never look back.